live, and now let's go on TikTok.
Awesome.
Okay, we are live on both now.
We'll put that in the group. One on YouTube. We'll give our couple minutes to trickle in. Give us a second.
Yeah, bear with us. We're also trying new tech stuff, so give us a little. Start in about 2 minutes.
Technology. Glad to have you. Pleasure.
Yeah, just give it a minute. It's not handling as well as I was hoping for it, but it might just take a second to warm up. I think I just have to not touch the other computer that's doing the TikTok part.
So
I know your audio is a bit choppy, which is part of this experimentation I'm doing. So anyone that's here, just bear with us. It's a couple minutes. We'll get it all smoothed over. Let me see. Carrie, you
welcome.
I'm hoping that you guys can hear okay. We're just getting our new tech set up a little. Yeah, I know. Carrie, do you can you hear me okay when I'm speaking right now? If it's that bad, I'm gonna have a alternative plan to switch. Just Carrie, if you could give us a little idea of a little choppy. Yeah. Let me turn this off. Can help. So again, just anyone that's there, just bear with us. We're just we're just going live in a different way now to see if it just got a couple bugs to work out, but we'll be up and running in the next minute or two, and then we'll start our episode. Liz, you're like totally frozen.
I saw that.
Yep, you're back. Liz, I just want to see you like moving, so I know how bad this is. Let me refresh it.
Right now, so whatever
Sorry, everyone. Just give us another minute or two. Just working through our new setup, which is worse than our old setup, apparently. I'm going to switch out of this in a minute if this is still a problem for y'all. Appreciate everyone's patience. Why is that not going well? I'm gonna have to switch this out. Sorry, guys, just one more minute. I'm gonna switch back to the way it was before without these problems. And then we're going to start our episode in about 2 minutes. All right. I have to switch programs. Just another minute here. Sorry. Okay, I'm switching which device is doing this TikTok. I'm hoping it doesn't close out people out of TikTok. But if anyone loses this live, just come back right in and everything should be working after that. We're almost there. What a mess.
The time we were on the live, we got a new follower, so that's something.
Good. All right, we're almost done. I'm just switching back to the way things we knew was working great. Let me just make some quick adjustments and then we will be fully up in our episode. Liz, I could already tell it's smoother if you want to kind of talk a little bit while I fix our video.
Sure. Travis looks elongated.
No, I know. Let me work on that while you talk.
Like a... Okay. Yeah, for those tuning in, we had to bump out and come back into the TikTok live, but come back in. We're getting ready again. Welcome back, Carrie. And for those watching on YouTube, give us some grace. As technology, there's always something, right? We have a great episode for you guys. We're really excited to get into it. So really appreciate everyone's patience as we navigate technology. How can we go to the moon, but we can't do a TikTok live. So yeah, we'll just wait for those people to trickle back. Yeah, welcome people coming into the TikTok live. I'm just gonna give it a couple more minutes, let those people who were in the previous live come back in. Yeah, all the tech stuff is working itself out. So again, appreciate everyone's patience. Really excited to get into the episode about language. You know, the divisiveness of it, and then also, you know, what we can do with language to start repairing democracy. And that's just a crazy, awesome topic. Really excited. Thank you for liking the live, Carrie. Really appreciate that. I saw in the last live we got, I think, to 1,000 or 800 or so. Sad to start at 0 again, but happy the tech is working.
Yeah, we should be fully back up and running now. I guess if we want to give it another minute or two, but whenever we're ready to start, we're no more issues going forward today.
Okay. I'm going to say let's just jump right into it and people can trickle in.
Cool.
Awesome. Let me pop this on the screen and get us rocking and rolling. So welcome, everyone. Sorry if you had to pop out and come back to the live, but just welcome everyone on YouTube and TikTok. We are Fink, and Fink, think of us as your civic utility company, right? And what does a utility company do? It connects people and runs on shared standards. And that is exactly what Fink is doing for democracy. So we, as a civic utility company, right, we're plugging everyone into a fair, citizen-led system where every candidate is seen, every citizen heard, and every journalist is free to speak. How are we going to do all that? Well, we put every candidate on equal footing, lower the barriers of grassroots voices, and we streamline the democratic process. So all of that equals less waste, more representation, and built-in accountability. So having those shared standards keeps leaders answerable to the people while also reducing the sway of money. So again, we are Fink, plug in, be heard, get results. And before we dive into the meat and potatoes of this awesome episode, uh, drop a question, drop a comment in the chat. We want to talk to you guys. We love hearing your perspective of things. Tap that heart, tap that screen, and hit follow. Right, every follower really helps a small growing organization like Fink. So you know, last week I think we ended at 555. This week we're starting at 563 or 4. So thank you to everyone who has recently followed us. And if you haven't followed us, hit that follow button. So today we're talking about upgrading our political language. So rather than calling people fascists, communists, we're going to use the lens of digital politics. So what does that mean? It means addressing politics in an up versus down fashion. So, up serving politicians, right? They serve special interests, they serve their donors, they serve the establishment. While down serving candidates, they serve the people, the citizens, the people that got them into power. So, we're going to be talking about some quick stats, talking about replacing language and terms in practice on real headlines of today. So with all of that introduction, I'm going to pass it to Travis to jump us into the topic today.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah, smooth. So now we're all golden. Thank you guys, everyone, for your patience earlier. We're smooth here on out today. Yeah. So like Liz is saying, you know, it was funny because I was doing research for this episode, and you know, right now, you know, a lot of people call, like, you know, Trump and the Republicans fascists, and I was surprised to find out that actually both sides are calling the other side fascists right now, and they're both sides are, you know, pointing fingers that the other side is the non-democracy and like anti-democratic, you know, controllers and dictators and whatnot. And I didn't realize how much the right was also using that same language. You know, a lot of the name calling from right to left is like communists, like commies and stuff like that, Marxists. But both sides are using this fascist language. And so in general, we're you know, as I was doing this research, I was learning about the negatives that it causes. It's counterproductive to both sides. You like vilifying the other side only makes things worse for all sides, basically. Um, yeah, Carrie, it's so, I mean, that this is where perspectives are so interesting, and this is where, like, my background is in psychology, and a lot of what we do at Think is understanding people's perspectives, how and why they're on the side they're on. You know, no one's the villain in their own story. Everyone believes they're doing the best for you know, some people are more selfish than others, necessarily, like, you know, that can be there, but you know, everyone thinks they're doing the best, making the best decision they can. You know, maybe it's sometimes for themselves or they're just their family rather than the collective, but they're, you know, again, they're not seeing themselves as a villain. But yeah, so we'll start with just showing some clips, just a little bit of clips, and then we'll talk about it, of just some examples of this this name calling and thrashing at one another. And then we'll get more into the topic. Oh yeah, woke is the other one on talking about the left. And yeah, like Carrie just said in the chat, like, you know, the name calling stuff, it's the other side's just going to completely check out. They're not going to you know, it's not going to teach somebody, it's not going to convert somebody from one, you know, switching sides or anything like that when we use this kind of language. Yeah, so let me I'm going to play the first video here. Supposed to be playing on both sides. Hold on. Give me a second. This is not my day for technology. What am I missing? Sorry, give me a second. There we go. Okay, I got it. Sorry. All right. There yeah. So we've all heard
Donald Trump is
that,
a fascist.
To General Milley calling Donald Trump a fascist. You yourself have not used that word to describe him. Let me ask you tonight, do you think Donald Trump is a fascist?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
And if you want a Democrat that's going to call people Nazis or fascists or all these kinds of things, well, I'm not going to be that guy.
The Democrats, they're fascists.
Okay, we're good. It's not my tech day. Sorry, guys. But yeah, so that's all. So as you saw there, the, you know, both sides are doing the name slinging and all that, and it's not productive. So we're but you know, but when both sides are using fascism, there are some points to why they're saying it around you know, but the bottom line is neither side is pro-democracy, neither side is truly representing us, and so each side sees the bad in the other party, but they're blind to their own problems, and the key is understanding that. And you know, it's not about the voters. The voters are being manipulated and stuck with the lesser two evils and whatnot. And it's really the leadership is who failed all of us. That's the core problem of all of this. And so, you know, to really to recognize that leadership has failed us on both sides. You know, we can argue all day about which one's the worst evil, but neither side is representing us. You know, half the country thinks that one side's the worst or evil, the other half is the other. but it boils down to both have conflicts of interest, both serve their money interests, their special interests. They do not represent you. That is a statistical fact. You can look at all the information that's out there. They follow whoever gives them the most money. They do not represent you. And their goal from the dawn of time, they've learned to keeping us pinned against each other. That's how they stay in power, is by us fighting citizens fighting citizens, rather than actually going after who's causing these issues. And yes, Trump is part of that problem, but he's only part of it. He's not the whole problem. A lot of Democrats, especially leadership, is portraying that all our issues that's ever almost like that's ever even existed is all Trump's fault. It's like, no, he came to life out of this out of all these problems, but he is not the whole issue. He's just one part that came out of these issues. So go ahead, Liz. I'll pass it to you. I know you want to say something.
Yeah, I wanted to add in. If you guys have seen previous lives, or checked out our social media, you probably come across something called rigged patterns or digital politics, and part of that is the lens of how to identify intention, identify the why behind this is happening. And like Travis said, the divisiveness of this language is to keep individuals fighting, but that does nothing to hold politicians accountable, right? She's Kamala Harris was ordained into the Democratic ticket and lost again. And so to me, what I see when I see Kamala saying that, whether or not she's right is up to you, but part of it is airtime. It's it doesn't reflect any change in the overall system, right? It's just words. But when it comes down to it, politicians are not solving anything with this mudslinging. It further divides us, and it does not do anything to move the needle of progress forward. And it just keeps us stuck in this two-party tribalistic viewpoint of each other. So going back to digital politics and rigged patterns, look at what's happening. It's so, like Harry said, it's so easy to just open up social media and see these words strewn all over. But what does that actually do? What's the point of it? Who wins? And in my opinion, those in power win. By keeping us fighting and so busy with each other, gosh, we forget to look up at power sometimes when we're so busy hating our neighbor. But back to you, Travis.
Yeah, so all that's so true. Anyway, so basically a lot of what this does, it's part of the goal here is that they're dehumanizing the other side. They're making you see the other party as just non-human. They're the enemy. They're Nazis. They're the commies. Like the Russia scares. And the idea, these are your neighbors. These are human beings that you're in the grocery store with these people. They're there's a fire in your house. They're your firefighters. These are regular human beings, and a lot of us are, we're all being manipulated. The mainstream media manipulates. The party leaders manipulate. The money interests manipulate. So we get so caught up on what the other side is doing against your own interests, but we're all suffering. I mean, humans in general are in a very suffering part of time. I mean, I guess we've always suffered. You could argue that we suffer less than when we were cavemen, but we're still basically cavemen to what humanity is going to be in the long-term future. We're still in the very early stages of all of it. But these smears and everything, it dehumanizes, it vilifies, it others. It's just oh, they're the others. I only care about people that I know, and this other mysterious something else that exists, I don't care about them. They can die for all I care. Like it gets to that extreme where, like, I mean, the shootings and stuff around this. So anyway, I mean, the key here is that it vilifies your neighbors. It's taking the blame off leadership and putting it on like half the country. And that's kind of what power wants. They want us to be infighting. They want us to fight and separate each other, because if we actually work together, we can we would be the majority. We 85-90% of America can agree on a lot of issues, not some of the main issues, like not certain policy stances, but in a lot of ways around representation, getting money out of power, overcoming this concentration of power. Most Americans agree with getting rid of like that the threat is this concentration of power. It just, each side kind of sees it differently. One side sees it more of like in government, the other side sees it more as outside of government and corporate, when the answer is that it's both. And then that lesser of two evils is really what traps us. I mean, even like as we've been talking to a lot of citizens these days, people are like, oh, don't rock the boat. Trump is such a big threat. Don't rock the boat on the left. It's like, dude, the boat's been rocked long rocked. Right now the Democratic Party is has the lowest approval ratings in modern history. More people are registered independent and third party than either of the two major parties. Now is the time to like make changes, that both sides are not they're not representing you. And to be clear, I mean, like, even the Democratic side, their policies they're supposed to follow is still like at least half the country believes in it. It's just the leadership is not actually fighting for those policies. Once they're in office, those changes don't happen because the big donors are paying them not to let it happen. So they'll get like a severely watered down bill and say, oh, we were just 2 votes shy in Congress. We couldn't get it done. It's by design. It's meant that way. They would lose their big donors if they gave you what you needed. And that's ultimately, they're never going to push exactly for what you need on either side. They're going to have a bill that sounds nice and it's going to generally sound like what they promised in office, but when push comes to shove, it's not going to do anything that they promised in their campaign. But anyway, so this is just, the name calling and all that, it's just more divisiveness. It just keeps us separated. It's not going to help the other side learn anything about your side. They're not going to come out of it more empathetic to your side. Like, complete opposite. The more you're name calling them and othering them, they're going to other you back. That's just going to be human nature and how they respond to that. Yes, go ahead, Liz.
Part of it for me is also kind of the circus nature of mudslinging and name calling. Great, you can go on it's these sound bites, right? It's these little sound bites to keep themselves kind of relevant. But gosh, they're not doing anything big when it comes to actual seats of power, right? When they have a chance on the debate stage, are they are they gaining followers and having these big ideas that really foster community and excitement in politics? Or are they just like we're talking about, are they just spending your time watching a debate or watching an interview mudslinging, right? So it's like, we want these people in power. It's why we voted for them. But what are they doing with that power? And a lot of it is wasting our gosh darn time. So again, if their time is spent doing mudslinging or raising big donor money or whatever, kind of non-representation they do when in power, when did they choose us, right? When is our time to be represented? I don't get health care just because Kamala Harris called Donald Trump a fascist. Like, that does nothing to move the needle for what actually impacts me. So just kind of those callbacks to, well, what's actually happening here, right? What change has actually happened? And again, so much of social media is just for sound bites. It's not for moving the needle, and that's part of what Fink wants to address. And we'll go into that, maybe in later episodes, but just just ask, what's the point of this, right? What is the point of this interview? What is the point of this sound clip? Do I win in this situation? Yeah, back to you, Travis.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's always about, like, we've been saying this a lot at our organization of, like, it's time to vote for you. Stop voting just because it's the better of the two. It's not, neither side is getting us closer to our goals. The economy gets worse regardless of who's in there. The promises they make, they come out, and what do they actually deliver on? So getting into more of this. So, like, on the left calling the right, it's fascist, Nazis, racist, white supremacists, authoritarians, the MAGA cult, insurrections, threat to democracy. Both talk about threat to democracy. And the other part that's hurtful on this, like, especially like the racist and white supremacists, is like, it's not all of them. Not every Republican is racist. Like, yeah, there's a significant group, but, like, I mean, there's racists on any side of anywhere. But calling that, like, saying that all of them see one thing, again, that others them, that drastically oversimplifies. Everyone on the right being racist is the same as everyone on the left is, like, a woke, like woke, like, extreme on the other side, basically. So the right calling left is like communist, socialist, Marxist, woke mob, groomer, globalist, radical left, and then again they're calling them fascists and Nazis as well. And they're pulling it from different reasons and different sides, but, like, by both sides are just oversimplifying, overgeneralizing, and that's the danger that's happening there. I mean, you look at the left versus right, like the media stuff that was going on recently, like Jimmy Kimmel and all that, where people are saying, well, they're censoring him, threatening him to get off air, but, like, the left did that too with people being racist, or they said stuff that people felt were offensive, and they got them off the air. So it's like they started a bad precedent of getting people canceled, basically. So we got to be careful that if you're gonna use a new weapon to, like, force somebody off media and in some way or the other, just forcing a conversation to go a certain way or canceling a conversation, you have to be careful. You're setting a precedent that the opposite side can now use at a later date, and it could be worse in their usage. So that's a part of this the problem here as well. So go ahead, Liz. You want to say something?
Yeah. And if you agree with someone being canceled, that's up to you. But try to reflect on who is actually doing the canceling. And it's the concentration of power, right? It's not regular folks, cheering for someone to be taken off the air. It's usually a very high level, high influence sort of decision making that is, again, out of the hands of the people, and goes back to viewership and donors and staying on brand, those type of things. So again, it's this people versus power, people versus the concentration of power. And what does that mean? Lack of representation, lack of access to television, news. So all of these different ways, how do we address it as, us as the regular folks versus these big decisions that are certainly out of our hands? And honestly, no one really wins. Again, who's the winner in all of that? And again, it goes back to those paying for the news companies to get back that return of investment. So I just wanted to pop that in there.
Yeah, cool. So I have one more clip, two more clips. The next one I'm going to show. Let me see if I can switch it without causing too much conflict here. Let me switch. Just give me a second here. So we're going to just show more just other examples. This is now the right talking about the left. And let me just do this.
The Democrat Party has gone woke, and now they have gone broke. They have the
Florida is where woke goes to die. Jaguar's facing backlash after announcing a rebrand of its luxury car company with this ad.
You know, they say go woke, go broke.
Yeah, so a lot of woke, you know, lot of woke criticisms from the right to the left. So you know, both sides are doing this thing, and again, it's othering, it's generalizing. It's just there's no net positive for either side, and that's kind of the bottom line on this. I'm gonna jump in right to the third.
Political editor Mark Murray. Mark wrote today's big story, Anger on Their Minds. Mark, welcome to you. What strikes you as the bigger theme here? Is it anger on the minds of voters? Is it polarization in the way that a majority on each side sees the other's agenda as an existential threat to America? Or is it both?
It's all of the above, Alex. And
Yeah, so these are little, just different like news clippings. It's all just different stats. I'm gonna go over some of the main stats here in a second. But just all of this is a threat. That this in itself is a threat to democracy. And like a lot of academics and psychologists and people that study this kind of stuff just shows that there's like virtually nothing good that comes out of all this name calling and whatnot. So like some of the stats that were displayed here, like about 80% of Republicans and Democrats say the other side poses a threat that, if not stopped, will destroy America as we know it. And you know, you hear that the loudest right now with Democrats and Trump, but like both sides feel that. And the honest truth is that both sides are a threat to democracy. Like they are kind of correct in how they're talking about the other side, but the problem is it's both sides. It's those in power are not representing the people. And like the more we can realize that, like if we could just stop fighting each other, there's so much that we can do to change this. There's this new narrative, as we're calling it, digital politics. There's a new way to look at it. We talk about it's up versus down politics. You know, Liz mentioned this earlier in the episode, but you know, if we can, it's such a clear way that we can actually bridge that divide, is looking at it from up versus down. Like, yeah, you're gonna still stand on like where you stand on healthcare, social issues, whatnot. You're still gonna have a left or right leaning, but the biggest issue is up versus down. It's those in power, keep those in power in power. You know, they focus on the concentration. The rich are getting richer. The middle class is shrinking. That's the problem. You know, rich people can make whatever money they want, but they shouldn't be allowed to buy influence in your government. And then that's where things go sour. So it's both, you know, it's conflicts of interest inside and around government. The other stats, so like 45% of Americans say the other party's members are downright evil. Downright evil is about the citizens, the voters on the other party. 45% of Americans say that. You know, that's sad. Like, you know, they're like, you know, again, most people, their intentions are they're generally trying to do what's right. You know, yes, we're all flawed human beings. We're all like, you know, products of our environment, products of like the kind of traumas we've been through in our lives, the facts that we think are facts that are not facts, but we're all trying to make the right decisions for the, like, kind of for the greater good, at least for your family, your future. But so, you know, to paint half your country as evil, that's not getting us on the right, you know, getting us in the right direction. And then so 76% of Republicans place fascists on the left. 68% place Nazis on the left, on the Republicans. So both sides are calling each other fascist Nazis. And, you know, both are hyperboles and extremes, but both have some valid points. Like, you know, I'd have to carefully talk about how they do, but bottom line is like, it's the not the lack of compromising. Like, I'm right, you're wrong. You know, both sides have a record of canceling and basically censoring what other people are saying. But again, that's not most people. That's just a loud minority on each side is the ones pushing these kinds of things. So it's not even about the majority of these voters. Most voters, like, we saw a stat that came from Andrew Yang that only 10% of voters choose the primary, who wins the primaries, basically. Only 10% participate in each party. So you get the loudest, most extreme voices are the ones picking our leadership. So these are a lot of the pieces that are really causing the problems in this country. Yeah, so those are some important fact stuff. Go ahead, Liz.
Yeah, and part of this, where is the voter in all this mudslinging, right? If it's just party versus party, well, gosh, I'm not the Democratic Party. I'm not the Republican Party. I'm just a voter who wants democracy. I want to be represented. I want to vote for good candidates. But kind of democracy gets so lost in this mudslinging, in this terminology. And that's why at Fink, we're talking to go beyond just left and right. Why it's so important to see the intention behind decisions and policymakers. Each bill they sign, each thing they vote for, each interview they give, who walks away as the winner? Is it their own party? Is it their own donors? Or is it us, right? Are they spending that quality time, that whatever, 2 to 4 to 8 years in power, actually doing what they're supposed to do? And that's why I think, we're talking about standards of accountability, standards of representation, and this new way of seeing politics, up versus down, which we call digital politics. So just before I hand it back to Travis, just a friendly reminder that we're Fink Future is Now Coalition. We have a new language, we have a new idea, we have a new possibility that talks about representation, talks about action, it talks about a new way forward. Aren't we all so sick of this garbage language that we've been talking about? Fascist, communist, Nazi, whatever, woke, libtard, right? All of these really divisive languages that goes nowhere. It's just a little sound clip and then it disappears the next day. We're talking about real change, real action that, gosh, the two-party voters aren't so divided as the news makes it seem. And gosh, the biggest growing party was not a party, but independent voters. Where do they come in to this overall picture? Where is a home for them? Where is a home for third party? Where is a home for people who are sick and tired of this divisiveness? And that's what we're trying to do at Fink. We're trying to build that system, be that civic utility company that connects these underdog and underrepresented voices out there. So be sure to follow us on social media at futureis.org. Check out our website, futureis.org, and just keep on coming to our lives. We're really trying to shake up the game, really trying to bring a new system to this. And with that, this episode is about language and the power of language and how we can really move forward with better language. I'll pass it back to Travis.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, exactly what Liz is saying. Like, yeah, we're spending time explaining what the problem is, but we have a boatload of how to change how to move the needle forward, how to get it in the right direction. Some of it's more of a philosophy, a new framing of how to look at this, how to really see the real problem, up versus down. And then like you're saying, being a utility, like being a civic utility organization, like imagine like our goal is to plug everyone into democracy. You are an American citizen. You are entitled to be part of the democracy. Over the years, that participation has been harder to be involved in democracy these days. You don't know who to trust for news. It's not very clear when the primaries are, what polls are open. Sometimes they close last minute. Like all these problems, and a lot by design. They want less people voting. And so we have a plan to plug everyone into democracy, everyone from citizens, underdog politicians, independent media, so you have more trustworthy news, and other political movements and organizations. Anyone that's grassroots, anyone that's not part of the establishment, no matter what they're left, right, third party, whatever. All we want is this anyone that's part of just everyday America. They're not part of the 1% concentration of power. We want to build a new ecosystem to empower all of them, amplify their efforts. Because that, everyone that's not part of the establishment, we have a major disadvantage. They have massive money. They have all the media control. So the only way that we're gonna push the needle forward is by, in some way or the other, working together. Uplifting other grassroots efforts, across different aisles. And we have a structured plan to do it, on how you could agree with somebody in one way, but then disagree with them on another way without completely vilifying them. So anyway, so getting towards the end here, so just getting into a little bit of the language, when people are talking about fascism, they're really talking about a concentration of power, anti-democratic behavior, and that's actually a lot of what we talk about. It's just the problem is that it's not just one side. You got to really understand that neither party is fully democratic. I mean, look at the primary on the Democrat side. No one chose Harris. They anointed her after Biden chose. They skipped the primaries, and then, oh, by the way, Biden sucks. We're not going to run him again, and we didn't ask you, America. We're going to just pick somebody that's going to run. That's messed up. They should have just had a healthy primary, So when people point at Trump being a fascist, yeah, there's a lot of arguments on that side as well, but it's not just one side. Both sides are anti-democratic. It's been, at least the last decade or two, has been super undemocratic. Now that, Citizens United and just the influx of money in politics has been more legal than ever before, that's been destroying our democracy. So, we're not saying to support Trump or anything. It's just the issue's bigger than just Trump, and, understand why not everyone is on the left side right now. And again, people when they're talking about us, oh, don't shake up the boat. Trump is bad. It's dude, Democrats in Congress have lower than a 20% approval rating right now. That is abysmal. And if you actually look at the where people stand on their policies, that's not why they don't like them. They agree with the policies that they're meant to support. It's just they don't actually support those policies. But again, the Democrats are the lowest popularity ever. They're less popular than the Republicans right now. So they're saying, oh, you're trying to shake up the left. The left is broken, man. Build it better. Right now, it's just there's Trump and there's not Trump. The party of Trump and party of not Trump. And where's a vision for a better future? And those in power, they're not going to give you a better future, because better future means less profits for the 1%, and they're the one paying their bills, so they're not going to do it. They're not going to go against their donors. So that's a core part of this. And then so on the other side, calling communists or socialists, it boils down to on the left, they believe stronger government to protect the people. The flaw in that right now is that government is part of the corruption. So having a strong government that's corrupt isn't going to work. If there's ever a chance for stronger government to be an answer, way before that happens, there needs to be accountability in government. We need to rebuild trust. Trust in government is an all-time low right now. The conflicts of interest, all the problems that are going on. We need better people in office first. Maybe once we built a better government, people felt like they're held accountable. There's transparency in government. Maybe America would want stronger government programs in certain ways, or there might be other semi-private answers to that. But you're never going to get, it's never going to go in that direction as long as, trust in government goes down, for both parties. So that's the thing with communism and socialism. I mean, in general, the name on that is an exaggeration. No, most people that are called socialists in this country are not anywhere near as left as what Europe is, a lot of the European policies and most other countries, but it's all relative, is a lot of these labels and stuff. Woke, the woke side, woke mob on one side, MAGA cult on the other. Both sides are saying, both sides are trying to push a certain priority of like certain demographics, I guess, is kind of a way to say that. I want to be really careful how I touch on that. You know, generally we're neutral. We don't want to get into the weeds of this stuff. It's more for America to decide. But you know, again, it's pinning the extremes on the different sides. You know, both sides can say the other side are traitors and the domestic enemy. There's just different, you know, policies. I don't know. I mean, most people are using this language and they don't even know what they don't even know what the language even means. They're just, you know, they're just parroting what they've heard. And then authoritarian. I mean, both sides, whoever's president, the other side's always going to call him authoritarian. But a lot of when they call authoritarian, what they're really talking about is rule bending. You know, both sides have been done this. Like anything with gerrymandering is rule bending. A lot of executive orders, because they can't get the number of votes in Congress, they just like, oh, this is an emergency. So just declaring an emergency lets me pass more policies as president. So when people are name calling with authoritarianism, that's basically what that is. What that's supposed to be about is the rule bending and stretching the powers of those in office to get what they want. But again, both sides do that, and they do that to the favor of the powerful. And like, you know, it seems like both sides are okay with the rule bending when it's when they think it's in their own favor as citizens. But first of all, it's virtually never in your favor. It might seem like that superficially, but when you dig in, it's not. It's always to favor somebody that's paying them millions or billions of dollars. And then it's also just setting, like, the more, you know, if the more one president is going to do something less democratic, well, that just sets the precedent for the next president. It's a bad precedent for presidents. You know, so you don't want to, like, now there's this, you know, freaking gerrymandering war that both sides are going to just gerrymander all our country, and then no one's votes matter ever again. You know, so it's all just horrible and just destroying America and democracy. So the bottom line is both sides are anti-democratic. Both sides are a threat to democracy. And when I say both sides, I don't mean the voters. I mean the leaders. I mean those that get in power. They did not get there by your support. Like, ultimately, when you had to vote between two people, you voted them in. But, you know, most America was not involved in the primaries that chose these people. And, you know, there's a lot of manipulation that put them in power, basically. You know, yes, they won their primary, but they had a lot of an unfair advantage over somebody that actually probably deserved to be in that seat. So I'm going to go to you, Liz, and then we'll have one more segment, and then we'll be pretty much wrapping up.
Awesome. So those that have just joined us, welcome. We're live on TikTok and YouTube. And today we've been talking about just the endless circle of mudslinging and name calling, and you know, it leads nowhere. It doesn't gain followers to the other side. It doesn't help bridge the divide of the nation, right? On both sides, my family is a conglomerate of Democrats, Republicans, some third-party voters. But gosh, why isn't there language that brings us together? Why is there only language that divides us? And really, isn't that just going to make us, you know, doesn't that lead to just further disruption of our interpersonal relationships? But also, when we go to the voting poll, you know, it gives you no ability to vote with your true intentions, your true sentiments about democracy. If the other side is so evil, then you're only left with your party's agenda. And you have to conform to that, right? So that's not representation. So it's finding these little gaps that really accumulate into the overall process of representation. Like we've been saying, if you joined our lives before or have seen us on social media, left, right, independent, third party, whatever, that is up to you. You get to keep voting for who you want to vote for, voting for what you want to vote for. What we are saying is the old system isn't representative. We demand better. We demand better language, what we're talking about today. We demand better access to information, better access to knowing accountability for politicians, who funds them, how they voted. Gosh, why does someone like Mitch McConnell and Chuck Schumer, who the nation hates, why do they keep getting their job back, right? So what is that insanity that keeps providing them their job? You know, the train that we're all on with this broken rigged system isn't leading towards democracy and representation. It's leading away from that. So why don't we get off that train and gosh, check out this new idea. Check out, we're all about representation, democracy, making sure you are able to vote for you, not just vote for, you know, some party's agenda. Yeah, so it's all about, you know, where are you represented? Finding those people who represent you, getting them better access to voters or interviews or the debate stage, right? And then hopefully in power. So it's all about these layers of democracy and how representation is not happening at every single layer. It's not about what party you're voting for, because like Travis said, they're both guilty of not providing democracy to people. Both of them have stained hands when it comes to knowing what their voters want and simply ignoring it in favor of big donors and big money. So yeah, we're Fink. Future is Now Coalition. We're about to wrap up, but follow us on social media at futureis.org. Hit the follow on TikTok. It's really important for a growing organization like ourselves. And come back tomorrow. Let me pull up that time real quick. Tomorrow is going to be at 2 Eastern and 11 Pacific. Yeah, with that, I will pass it back to Travis.
Cool. Yeah. So yeah, kind of in a nutshell, what we're the language that we're bringing together with digital politics. It's meant to reduce the heat. It increases. It starts bringing us towards more of a commonality, the common bridges that you and your neighbor do agree with. I know it seems like there's nothing you guys could possibly agree with, but we've been doing the research. We've been looking at this, at everything, and if you understand the way we're changing the framing, it's way less divisive. You know, I've tested this out. You could go to Thanksgiving dinner with half Democrats, half Republicans, talk in this new lens of digital politics, and no one's gonna fight. They're gonna agree with you. You know that, you know, who here doesn't feel represented, who here thinks that, you know, insider trading in Washington should be illegal, you know, who wants, you know, all money out of politics, who feels that, you know, politicians never fulfill their promises. You know, everyone feels like they're not being represented. I mean, you know, on the left, when they talk about, you know, Trump being a fascist, well, anytime fascism rose, it's when people felt unheard and desperate and just had no other. They're just so desperate for change that they voted for somebody charismatic that says that they're going to just bust it all up and shake things up. So that, you know, that's what happens. So, you know, if you believe in the fascism label, which, you know, again, it's a harmful label, but bottom line is both sides are anti-democratic, and it's not one side. Again, you know, maybe you can argue there's a lesser of two evil, but they're both evil, and you know, you can't. It's not about just, oh well, let's fix the one side first. No, that you cannot fix. You know, people are like, don't fix the left because the right is worse. Well, the right's going to keep winning because the left sucks so bad. So no, you can't isolate one side of the problem. You know, they've been trying to talk about Trump for 12 years. He got reelected, he even got impeached, and still he's our president. And Democrats have a lower approval rating today than Republicans do. So, like, no, we got to shake it up, or else, you know, it is going to just keep getting worse. You know, we need a party that stands for the people, not just Trump and not Trump. So we have a structure for that. Like, what makes us unique is it's like we're not the ones trying to run for office. We're the ones building the infrastructure to get good people to be able to win in office. You know, there's millions of wonderful grassroots candidates out there that just, you don't hear about them because they don't have the special interest of money people. They don't have the advantage of selling their soul. Like, those that don't sell their soul are going to have less money and less resources to spread their voice. So we want to build an infrastructure, like a civic utility organization that connects gives every citizen or give every candidate a chance to be heard, give every citizen a voice, and also plug in independent media to give better realities. So we're not even saying like, oh, it's going to be us. It's like, no, we're building infrastructure for others to be empowered. Everyone that's outside of that status quo, libertarian, progressives, anyone in the two parties that want to reform the two parties, people outside the two parties, independents, third parties. I mean, the majority of America is not on the side of the establishment. It's just the framing and the way we're pinned against each other makes it seem that way. But it's so not true. Again, not even more than half the country isn't even in either party at this stage. That's never happened before in modern history. There's never been a time when there's been more people outside of these two parties than in one of those parties, and this is the first time that's happened. So we want to empower grassroots people, underdog politicians, grassroots movements, and independent media. Give them a leg up so they can overcome the disadvantage they have by not selling their souls. And so with that, that's kind of us in a nutshell. So again, share, like, follow. I know we had a little bit of tech issues in the beginning. Again, thank you guys for your patience on that. As a side note, what we figured out is now it's so much smoother than even my previous videos. So we had to go through a little bit of a adjustment period, but this is so much smoother the way I set up our new system. So going forward, our lives should be smoother than ever. But thank you guys. Yeah, we'll be there tomorrow. And Thursday, we haven't landed on the time on Thursday, but tomorrow we'll be there. And then again, yeah, go check our website, futureis.org. Our socials, futureis.org is our handle. TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and a lot of new stuff coming along. We just updated our homepage. We have new videos and stuff going on. A lot of videos on YouTube. And a couple new worksheets and different materials that we could give you guys to really empower you to make better decisions so you can help be more represented in the future. So we got to change things. Things are getting worse. Don't expect Democrats to save you right now. Everything's falling apart. Hopefully in the long-term future, we look back at this as like, the darkness before the dawn. But don't think that, no one in power right now is really you're on your side. The majorities of either side, either party. But again, the good news is that there are great candidates in the world. There's great independent media in the world. There's great organizations in the world. We just have to prop them up, help lift them, and amplify them beyond what against where the establishment is. Everyone that's not part of the establishment it's an uphill battle. So we want to build a utility that helps lift them up so they can actually compete with the establishment. Go ahead, Liz. Final words.
Yeah, just before we officially close out, you don't have to take our word for it that we have this idea and it's radically different, and it deals with democracy and representation and you being able to vote for people who represent you. Check out our videos. Like Carrie said, check out our old YouTube videos, check out our social media, find out what we're about, inspect us, put us to the test. We are here to help build that infrastructure for representation. So you don't have to take our word for it. Check us out, analyze us, inspect us. We're here to engage with you. We're not here to just dictate to you that we have this awesome plan. We want to build this with America. We want to build this with your guys' input. So yeah, just a call to action. Check us out, leave a comment, shoot us a DM. We're here to talk to you guys, and really looking forward to tomorrow's live where we get a chance to talk to you guys again.
Cool. Yeah, great point there. Yeah, check it out. Right on our homepage, there's this new button. The blueprint at the very top just has a really light overview, and then there's like a lot of deep dives in there as well. So yeah, we have a massive amount of plans to make change in this country in a way that empowers you. We want you to be represented where you're not. So yep, thank you guys so much. We'll see you guys tomorrow. All our tech issues should be behind us now. And so we'll have some good episodes coming up. So thank you all, and we'll see you later. Get out of here.